my skin so gorgeous. We thank the life gorgeous. Thank the life gorgeous. I love the life gorgeous. Its torso is so tight.
Oh, it's a huge Life Gorgeous. The Wolves have won it, the Wizards, and we're going to talk about that. Kyle Theige, one of the great Minneapolis, Minnesota podcast personalities. He's funny, he's witty, he's charming. I don't know where he lives. He lives in Portland. And we're professionals. We're going to do a Vikings recap here. Can I say a few words before you give me your thoughts?
The floor is yours, my sir.
Okay. I'm a longtime Vikings fan since 1970. I believe we are the greatest team to never win a Super Bowl. We're always talented. We're always good. I don't get sucked in to these bad losses. And I also want to talk about I don't really care about final scores because there are a couple plays that threw me off that we're going to talk about. But obviously, we got spanked. I am a Matthew Stafford fan, just to let people know I love him. He's a gunslinger. And we move on, and we like our coach. We like our talent. We'll make some changes. We got cap space. We will not have Sam Darnold, in my opinion, as the quarterback next year. What, as a lifelong Minnesota Vikings fan, what are your emotions? Did this just tear you up, or how do you handle it?
Didn't see it coming. That's for sure. It's been a tough 7 or 8 days for the Minnesota Vikings, but I've said this to you before, I think in private, but like everyone knows that listens to my stuff covering the Wolves. I bought a house last summer, and the Sam Darnold experience felt like, Craig, when you like find that house and you go do the walkthrough and then you find out there's like water in the basement and you're like, oh, we really love that house, but we cannot buy it.
Right.
The Sam Darnold, it was a great run. KOC kind of brought him back to life. I think Sam probably lost himself some money tonight. I still think most important position in sports.
Yep.
He's going to find a team, Tennessee, the Giants, the Raiders. Some team will go get Sam Darnold. But the Vikings got a ton of clarity tonight, even in an embarrassing fashion. They know now they cannot lean into him, re-sign him, whatever. J.J. McCarthy is the quarterback of the future starting in August 2025.
Yeah, and we'll see how good J.J. is. I hope he's not too not frail, but a little light, a little not as muscular as I want him to be. I hope he's durable. And I was going to say something about Sam there was a podcast I did where I said, I think Sam will have a good regular season because he's talented, but I don't know what he'll do in the big games. I did say that way back, and now we learned. And the offensive line didn't help him at all, and I think we really need to keep working on the offensive line. Obviously, Christian Darrisaw was not playing, but we have some work to do. I hope Brian Flores stays there, and I do like Kevin O'Connell, although I'm going to criticize him in a little bit. Specific question: your thoughts on the fumble touchdown the Vikings had that was called back? They said it was a pass. Your thoughts?
It pains me to say this. It pained me to say this in the moment. It was just a cheat code of the rule. Like if you want to get real technical, and you and I love being technical, like he does throw the ball forward and he does throw it. I mean, Puka Nacua was right there. It was kind of like a wide receiver screen. But I would imagine, Craig, they like address that in the offseason, because that is, if you have a quarterback wrapped up, no matter how they throw the ball away, it should be a sack or a fumble. It's hard enough to defend in the league already, NBA, NFL. Like, it is so hard. It is an offensive league. And Matthew Stafford, I mean, that is why, I know he's older. In pregame, you saw the gray on his beard, but he's still the first overall pick many years ago out of Georgia. Like, he is that dude, and that was just a really heads-up play that, in the moment, I thought it was 10-10. I was like, okay, this is like, here comes momentum, but nope. Not even grounding either, right? Like, you didn't even get the highest of highs, the medium. It was like, nope, incomplete pass, no penalty, and then the Rams went on to score.
So this is why, as a fan, I don't get caught up in the final score.
Right.
If they don't make that call and reverse the call, it's a different outcome. The two biggest things are KOC. I'm just going to tell you the two biggest.
Yep.
That call and KOC should not have gone for it on fourth down late in the first half because we didn't have momentum. We didn't get it. They will go down and score. Here's something interesting. You said something very accurate. It's an offensive league. I saw a clip of Bill Belichick on the Manning cast. They were I have to go back and see what the Manning said because they all looked a little disgusted. Bill Belichick was like, "This is an offensive league. They're not going to help the defense. They're not going to help the defense." Here's a tweet from Brian Baldinger, which sums it up even better about that play. Is this really a forward pass? Just trying to save the sack? Doesn't feel right to me! Exclamation point. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
Yeah. So that's where these games are fragile. It's just like an NBA game can end up, you can lose by 25, even though it was a 5-point game, at some point in the fourth quarter. What did you think of KOC going for it on fourth down in the second quarter?
I really like KOC. Obviously, this season has been fun, 14-3. Also, those post-game locker room interviews or like things that he would do, those speeches, the game balls. I think everyone got a game ball except you and I this year. And he's fun. He's a good coach. It seems like the guys really like him. I think about midway through the second quarter, again, we're coming off of the Lions loss, right, where they just got completely embarrassed again in a really big spot. It almost felt like they were running the ball, Craig, with 6.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They had no urgency whatsoever. Yeah. I think he was just trying to get his guys out of there, maybe save Sam Darnold a little money because 2 more picks would have been tough in negotiations this summer when you go to Tennessee and you're like, you threw 5 picks in the wild card round. So I think he saw the writing on the wall. He kind of made chicken salad out of chicken bleep this year with the quarterbacks he's had, but I don't know. It hasn't been a good 2 games for KOC. I think they'll extend him. I think he's a good coach, but he also probably has to do some soul searching a little bit there was just a lot of times where they just didn't really give anyone on the team a chance to make a big play. Yeah.
And I'm a KOC fan, but I will be hard on him. I was harder on him last year because they didn't run the ball enough, but he has to improve his play calling and his decision making.
Yep, correct.
Because in Detroit, I would not have gone for it on fourth down. I would have kicked a couple field goals because we had no momentum. On third down, we were getting spanked. So he's got to improve as a play caller. I hope Brian Flores stays. Future of the team. I think we're in good hands. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they're in good hands too. Our guys over at Purple Daily, Phil Mackey, they do a good job of this. But you have a rookie quarterback who got to sit a year and learn and hopefully get a little stronger. I saw that image of him too, where it's like, is he more than I am? I'm like 175, Craig. Like, does he weigh 175 pounds? But they have a rookie quarterback. They have like $75 million in cap space. They have their picks, so they have a lot of holes. Like, they need a center. They need some offensive linemen. I think they need a little zest at running back. I think Aaron Jones is a free agent, but they could use a little youth there. But skill position, you got Addison and Jefferson and Hawkinson all locked up. And then on the defense, you just got to go get more guys. They had Dallas Turner this year, the first-round pick after JJ, and he just didn't do – he had some plays, but he wasn't like, an every-down pass rusher. So I think the future is bright. KOC, like I said, I think a lot of people were watching this game trying to blame it on Chris Finch, but KOC probably had to do some looking in the mirror because there were certain times this year where it didn't seem like the play calling was as aggressive as the McVays of the world.
Right. Hold one second. I need to get a little. I have a little. So I'm actually excited for next year more so than this year. We were supposed to 6.5 wins. We were supposed to be last in the division. Obviously, with JJ McCarthy, watching him potentially blossom will be very special. So Vikings' future is good.
Yeah, you look at the Broncos and the Commanders too. Obviously, the Broncos got knocked out during the first round, but you put the right guys around a rookie quarterback. JJ McCarthy has experience in big games. He led Michigan, helped Michigan win a national title. So it's a tough day. It'll be a tough Tuesday. Just again, the last 8 days you get pounded in 2 big games. Kind of makes you feel like the season was fake, but it's a really, really bright future. And finally, KOC and Kwesi and this whole organization is actually building something that's sustainable, right? It's not a house of cards. Like, there's really optimism long term for what this thing can be.
And I do think Detroit is really good. I
Yeah.
don't know how good the Rams are. I do know I like Matthew Stafford. I always
Mhm.
have. I like gunslingers. He's special. I would think they would get beat in Philadelphia. But that's just, I don't know. Do you have thoughts on that game?
That Rams team was pretty impressive. I think they have 3 defensive rookies that are like almost all defensive team. Like they did a really good job drafting. Obviously, Matthew Stafford's been there before. Tonight he put on a quarterback clinic. They've got a couple wide receivers, but I said Ravens over Eagles to kick this thing off, so I'm still sticking by that. But really good football games next week if you're still a football fan.
Yeah.
With all those different matchups. Next week's the best week of football in my mind with those 4 matchups.
Don't you think it's nice that we're actually doing this? Because I don't have to do this. I'm being professional. Painful loss. I want to forget about it.
Rip the
But I'm
Band-Aid off.
giving back. We're giving back to the fans. And I did want to ask you, are you good handling these losses? You seem like you're kind of an optimistic guy. You don't get too depressed.
You're so used to them, right? At 36 now, I don't have a lot of times where I come out of these matchups. I mean, I did plan my whole day around it. Got a little massage earlier. It's dry January. I was like, I'm going to be clean and ready to go. And then it's like, wait, it's 21-3. I haven't even made dinner yet. So I'm getting used to it. That run last year again with our favorite basketball team was pretty special. But again, I think and you've been around this a long time, when you look back at what it used to be, I mean, you have a Vikings team now that has a lot of draft picks and salary, and they have their quarterback finally. A Wolves team that has a lot of pieces. So I'm optimistic, I think, for real for the first time in a long time. But sometimes it's still like, could you just ever watch one of these games where it's like you win? Like, that would be kind of fun, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've seen some. The worst was it was an NFC Championship game at the Giants back in 2002 or 3 or something, 41-0. There was there's a Dante Culpepper and it was we had Moss and Carter, and we went to New York Giants and we just got killed, and it was embarrassing.
Is that worse than when Favre threw across his body in the Saints game? Because like, at least you knew that game was over. The Giants game, like, 15 minutes in.
It's a great point, because when Viking fans say, "Oh, we haven't won a Super Bowl, it's dragging me down," I don't look at it that way. I said, "Well, when should we have won a Super Bowl?
Right.
We should have won when we were 15-1 and Gary Anderson missed the field goal.
Yep.
Best team in football. And then we could have won with Favre, that Viking. That was, I think, 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was, prior to the game, they had the Fox guys, and Howie Long said exactly what I thought. Vikings are a better team, but they're going to lose. And we just had too many turnovers.
Yeah.
We had so many turnovers. And what bothered me was somebody a couple years later said, if they would have won that game, Indianapolis couldn't have stopped Adrian Peterson. You guys would have won the Super Bowl. So you hear these things, but I'm good at distancing myself. Vikes are my team, Wolves are my team, but I don't let it drag me down. I just kind of let it go, because I know the misery of some of the fans, and I just beg them not to be miserable if you can avoid that. Now you can get mad at the refs, or you can get mad at. I was mad at Blair Walsh when he missed the field goal. I wanted Zim to cut him in the locker room. This is where John Krasinski and I disagree. But anyway, quickly, because we're gonna go to bed. It's late here. Let's talk Timberwolves. Huge win at the Wizards. Well, what's your biggest concern with the Wolves?
Maturity. And ties into basketball IQ. That this team features a handful of players that I really like. Obviously, we all love Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid. And some people have mixed feelings on a guy like Julius Randle. But, I mean, that Memphis Grizzlies game, so they win tonight against the Wizards, like you said. They've won 4 of their last 5. They should be on a 5-game winning streak. They should have beat the Grizzlies. And the Grizzlies are a really good team. They were a little banged up, but the Wolves had that game and just those final 4 minutes. I mean, I know someone like you watching that drives you crazy. It's just they don't get good looks. Julius is isolating against former defensive player of the year in Triple J and hasn't crossed half court. He's throwing the ball out of bounds. He's going rogue on the last 6 seconds when Finch calls a certain set. So I think the vibes are getting better with that team. They're starting to figure it out a little more. But I don't know. It's any close game now. You kind of have to think the other team has the advantage just because they have – it's not even reps or continuity anymore, Craig. It's just like they just got players that understand what to do in those winning moments.
It's a great point. When I always say the biggest problem, I get specific and say it's turnovers, which you kind of said in your own way, which was maturity and IQ. But we don't have, these guys are not great passers. I always say the same. Jaden McDaniels is not a great passer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm concerned about our overall. I'm glad we play good D, but our overall roster throws me off. What are your thoughts on Julius Randle?
What can I say on this pod again? It's interesting, right? Like you downgrade from Carl-Anthony Towns, who's someone who, was divisive in a sense. People maybe got tired of him after 9 years and not necessarily bringing the franchise to another level, although they do make a Western Conference final run. But you lose him, and then you just bring in a guy who just kind of does it all a little less well than Cat does. And then just the body language stuff. I mean, I know two things you're really good at is picking up on guys who shot mechanics, which, again, not only did you say Sam Darnold that might not fully blossom, he might be a pumpkin, you also called the Ant shot mechanics thing when we did this in like September. And now you wake up this morning, he leads the league in made three-pointers. Yeah. So great call by you. But the Randall stuff, I don't know. I just hate the bad body language. It's getting better. He seems to understand his teammates more. But when things go south or he's just pounding the ball into the ground, 12 seconds left on the shot clock, that is just the antithesis of what I like watching basketball. And as Dane Moore did a really good job, our friend the other day, like they have a big decision to make, Craig, coming up with this trade deadline. Because if you don't move him, he has the opportunity to stay here another year with his player option. I don't want to get too nerdy this late at night, but they got to figure out if he is a core piece of this franchise. And if he's a core piece, Craig, I don't know what that means for our guy Naz Reid. So a lot of decisions right now coming up, but I don't know. Julius Randle's fine, but again, kind of like Sam Darnold, I think I'm okay moving on and giving someone else his spot.
I agree. I would trade him. I know how good he is now. I've seen him. He's very streaky, but when he's good, it's just okay.
Yeah, it's empty calories a little bit.
Yeah. I would trade Julius Randle. I don't know who we'd get for him. That's Tim Connolly's job. And I'm open to trading different people. My other big criticism is Anthony Edwards has to become a better passer and turn it over less. He had 7 turnovers tonight. He's got to improve. Rob Dillingham, your thoughts?
I didn't know he had 7 turnovers, and that's crazy.
Let me double check that.
No, you're right. He had 7 assists and 7 turnovers. He did finish the night with 41 points on 14 and 25 shooting. Yeah. Got to the line 8 times, 5 for 11. Yeah, Rob Dillingham, again, people are wondering how I did this, but that's why you have multiple TVs. He played for the Iowa Wolves tonight, our second favorite Minnesota Wolves.
He played tonight?
He played for the G League Iowa Wolves tonight. I think he finished with 22 points.
Oh, good.
Shot wasn't always there, but he got into the paint whenever he wanted to. Getting a little creative. He had the first play of the game. He ran a high pick and roll, got a lob to Jesse Edwards, who was like G League Rudy Gobert. So, I don't know. When he comes back, I mean, Dante, obviously, as people listening to this follow the Wolves, like Dante has been inserted now as the point guard of this team. That's been really good for them. It's given them a spark. Dante rebounds really well. I love that. But I think when Rob Dillingham comes back, he needs to be given a chance because I just think he gives him a little juice. And again, for you and I like having a traditional point guard out there, and Rob's 19, but I think he's a traditional point guard, way more than Nikhil is or even Dante.
Yeah, Nikhil's not. He'll turn it over.
Yeah.
I love Dante. He's finally hitting his shot. Love his game. He'll sometimes turn it over, but that's life. Not a true point guard. So when he does start, it's him and Ant handling the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But at least Dante's hitting his 3 now, and I love it.
Yep.
I would play Dillingham. My thing is play him. If he's not ready, then fine. Then you can pull back. But play him because he's played better than I thought he would. I love how quick he is. I love how explosive he is. You got to play him. Let's see how he is. Where will the Wolves finish in the West? I kind of know where I think they're going to finish. Where do you think they'll finish in the West?
I think they're going to be the 5 seed.
Okay. I was going to say 6. I was going to say 6, but yeah.
I think they're starting to figure some stuff out again. Again, that Grizzlies loss is pretty bad just because you had it. You're at home.
Yep.
Everyone's playing. I mean, Dante had the best game of his Timberwolves career. Jaden again. When you get those Jaden 20-point performances, you really can't afford to blow them.
Yep.
And they did. So, yeah, I think with the West, I mean, I think the Warriors lost tonight to, like, the Raptors.
They did.
There's a lot of teams that are struggling. The Lakers and Clippers obviously have a lot of other stuff going on other than basketball. So, yeah, I think the Wolves string together a couple 3-4 game winning streaks and then find themselves maybe in a 4-5 matchup down the road against, like, a Dallas or something. Maybe a nice little rematch of the Western Conference Finals.
Thanks for staying up late, brother. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Good to see you. I'm glad. Hope everything's going well for you and your family down there in California.
Thank you. That's our show, ladies and gentlemen. Kyle Theige, the Vikings lose, but you know what? The Wolves win at the Wizards. There you go. We'll see you next time. Remember, young people, I'm proud of you.